So hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video we're going to be doing just a quick one on how I read 10 books in about 4 days. Now before we begin, I understand that some people have it a lot worse and read more books, and this is not like why am I making a video on it, do you know what I mean? Like, oh V, just get over it. But a lot of you were asking for it on Instagram, on YouTube. You were just like, just tell us how you read. Like, before we even get into notes and how you write the essays, let's start from the basics. How do you read? I'm going to tell you guys. And then another thing is, I know that this method might not work for everyone, but it works for me. Do you know what I mean? It's all about trial and error. I trialed, it did an error, so here we are. Another thing is, and look at these things behind me, we hit 40k about 4 days ago. I was buzzing, I was so excited. I went and bought those 40,000 subscribers balloons and I was like, woo, we did it. 2 days later, we hit 50. 2 days. I said, now my problem with hitting that many subscribers that quickly is those balloons cost £10 each. You didn't hear me. £10. £10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. £10 each. That's £40 sitting right there. £40. That could have been 40 pot noodles, 40 chicken mayos from McDonald's. Now I'm like, we're stopping the balloons for the foreseeable future. No more balloons because I can't afford it. Do you know what I mean? I can't afford it. I can't. But thank you so much. I am like, I can't talk about it because I will get emotional, but like, this means the world to me. I've worked so hard just trying to bring out content that's helpful, that like just motivates us, and just showing you guys that life can be lived with no Instagram filter, in terms of not everything is always perfect. We're gonna have little failures here and there. Failures, wink wink, nothing's a failure. It's just another chance to try again. And I showcase just the realities of actually being a student and the things we go through, and to have you guys support me and join me on this journey is phenomenal. So thank you so much. And if you are new and you just came to the family, please do press subscribe, and let's get straight into the video because I don't want to waffle. We just want to get straight into it. Okay, so my name is V. Hi, and I'm a classical archaeology and ancient history student in my final year at the University of Oxford. I feel like I hadn't introduced myself. Anyway, so step one is look at the essay question that your tutor has given you. It's super important that you do that. I always circle the question, then circle all of the important bits of the question. So we're going to use last week's essay as an example, and the question is, to what extent do different literary genres give us access to the reality of women's lives in classical Athens? Now, I'll take that, circle all the important parts, and make sure I fully understand the question. Then next, what I would do is go through the reading list, and luckily enough, my tutors always put a star next to what you have to read for that week. Then the rest of the books are just like a choice if you want to add to your knowledge and make your essay a bit fuller, but they give you like a star next to what you have to read. So I go through that and I highlight it, and for this week, or for last week, there were 8 books, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books that were important must-reads, and that's on average 8 to 10 books per week that we're told we have to read in order to fully grasp the question, etc, etc. Read, highlight. Then the next thing that I do, which you probably saw in the last video, is I rewrite the essay question on a different sheet, and then I put arrows going out onto my initial thoughts before I've even read anything. I do this because it's really, really important to trust your brain. Like, your brain is the most powerful tool, and your thoughts are unique, creative, and you've got to trust that gut instinct. And I feel like at university we kind of lose sight of that. Our creativity gets stifled, and we often don't trust our own judgment, and we just think, what does the book say, and that's that. But I don't. I let my mind like get ahead of itself and stuff like that. So I would write the question out like this, and then I'll put arrows going out with what are the things that I first think of when I hear this question. And that's important because once you do the reading, you get muddled up in all the complex things, and you forget all the basics. Like, define the term. Like, what do you mean by women in classical Athens? That could mean anything. Do you mean poor women, rich women, black women, white women, women from married backgrounds, disabled women, heterosexual? Like, what kind of women do you mean? Like, define that term, women. So I would start by, like, I would put that in my arrows, like, what do we mean by women? Like, what kind of women am I looking for? And then what do you mean by literary genres? Like, just define it and get all of your thoughts down, right? That's the second step. And this step is important because when you come to reading, you kind of have an idea of what you're looking for. So you've kind of already formed all of the paragraphs that you're going to have in your body of work. Then the next part, which I find really like important for me and how I learn, is how I write out the notes when I'm actually doing the reading. So now I've found the books, I've picked out the important ones, I know what I'm looking for. This is the next part where you actually start making notes of the reading. So this is how I would go about tackling my work. We call this the red, purple and black technique, or the red and purple technique, whatever. I've made that up, literally. I don't think it exists, but I've just made it up right now. So for me, whenever I'm reading a book, especially because of my degree, let's take this book for example. This book is the work that was written by a man living during the time that I'm studying. So Thucydides was writing about the Peloponnesian War while it was like happening. So he is what we call a literary source. He is an ancient source from the exact date and the time. Anything that comes out of his mouth that's not my idea from this book would be in red, right? Then whatever I have in purple is whatever I think. I literally, the moment I've read that part of the book, I will reference it. Straight away, I put next to it in bold the reference and where it came from. Then in purple, I put my thoughts about what I just read there. And then I carry on just doing that. And anything in black is just statements or things that I've read from secondary sources. And a secondary source is someone like this, who is a historian, like a scholar, someone who writes about history. They have written about what they think about this, and then I put it there, and then I have in purple what I think about what they think about what the other person thinks. So it's just a chain of thought, right? So when I'm writing my essay, I would have my purple thoughts would fill out most of the paragraph. Then I'd back it up with support from the red, which is exactly what I found in this book, and tell them like, hey, I think this, and this is the evidence for it. Then I would have in black what the scholars and the modern historians think, and essentially I'd be making like a sandwich of thoughts. Now what happens when you encounter a book you don't know? I would always go on Google and research, Google a summary of what this is about. There's no way I'm going to read all of this. Even if it's on the reading list and it says read all of this, I'm not reading all of this. We have 4 days. It's impossible to read 10 of this. So what I do is I go on Google, get a summary of what this is about, so now I have an idea, and depending on that essay question, and that's why it's really important to do this part where you break it down, I look for the key things that I want to know. So I would go through a book like this and look at the chapters and then see what's most relevant, find that chapter, skim read and pick out the key information, try to read the intro and maybe the conclusion, and that's it. I'm not reading all of it, just the chapter that I need, intro and conclusion, and look up a summary on Google. And that's the only way that you can get through so many books so quickly. And sometimes if your teachers are feeling nice, they sometimes put the exact page numbers, so that already takes out so much work. Like on this one it says from page 243 to 300, right? That gives you about 60 pages that they said you must read. Even then, I won't read all 60. I'll go through those 60 pages and I know this is exactly where I need to be, but I'll just skim it. I'll skim it, because you can't stress yourself because of university, reading and reading and reading. Just read the relevant parts, and by the time you've read 1 or 2 books, you get the general gist of what you're looking for and what the topic is about. So then it makes it easier when you come to read the rest of the books. Yeah, so that's how I read so many books so quickly. It's basically just focusing in on the chapters that matter, making sure you have a good note-taking system, because you could waste your time just noting and just copying from the book. Then when you come to writing it, if you haven't referenced properly, you have to go back and like read. No, reference as you go along. Put in red the key quote. Try to be as precise as you can. Then make sure you write lots in purple, because that becomes your plan in the end, which is all your thoughts. Skim read the secondary evidence, which is like what the modern scholars think, and just get on with it. Boom, boom, boom. So that's how I can read 10 books, because I just have this brutal cutthroat, only look for the important things. We're not going to read all of this. Like, I'm a slow reader, there's no way. There's impossible. But yeah, that's it. I'm not sure if that was helpful or not. I don't know if that was helpful or not. If you want any more videos, just comment it down below. I'm happy to do anything to do with studying. Like, I love studying, and we're on a journey of university together, and yeah, that's it. I'm gonna now start some studying and then edit this video later and then put it out and whatever. Love you guys, see you later, and follow me on Instagram. Wink wink wink, winkety wink wink.